Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you Tuesday, September the 6th, the year's 2022. Let's talk trading. Trading is all about you, part 5 with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Walmal, we're going to pick up from the fastest 15 minutes of trading yesterday. Trading is all about you.
Yes, it is. It's all about you, it's all about me, and it's all about every person that gets into this game. And I think yesterday we were talking about the whole idea of knowing your personality, right?
Right.
And that it's so important, and how your personality impacts. It will impact you. Not it might impact, but it will impact the way you trade, how you look at the world. And if you're looking at the world in a particular way, well, when you get it sitting in front of your trading screen, guess what? That's your world, and you need to go and realize that and trade based off of that. And know that that's going to cause you to have grief sometimes, and exhilaration, and all types of emotions are going to come out through all that. I know at one point in time, I know TR, you had talked about this is not a long time ago, but pretty decent amount of time ago. You talked about this entire idea of emotion, your emotions in trading. Well, yeah, trading is a very, very emotional thing because, when it really comes down to it, we're talking about one of the most important things in your life, and that is money. That's the reality, because money is what puts food on the table. Money is what allows you to go and do the things that you enjoy. And, the thing is, money is not something that should just consume every bit of your life. But at the same time, it is going to go and be an extremely important factor. I'll go religious on people for a second. People go and talk about, certain things that are said and not said in the Bible. But believe it or not, the most talked about subject in the Bible is actually money, which is it's an interesting fact. And, that's a book that really just goes and talks about your personality and how you go and deal with this world. So the authors of that book saw that and understood that. So we should probably take that into our trading realm as well.
Yeah. Well, you said trading is emotional. I would say no, nothing is emotional. People have emotions, because of, their reactions to what goes on around them.
Right. I can buy into that.
So, I mean, there could be some traders who just sit there, look at the screen. They could be down $1 million and doesn't phase them. Other
Right.
traders, price goes against them, a point, and they're, yelling at the computer, wanting to throw their laptop out the window or something.
So let's be pragmatic about that for a second. So if you're that latter person, what or how do you deal with that? What things do we do to bring into our trading world, as I like to call it, so that we don't become that person who becomes emotional because of what has happened in front of us?
Well, it's all gets down to interpretations. If you come in, it depends. If you interpret a move that goes counter to the way you placed your trade, if you think it's against you, um, you're going to be emotional. If you think, oh, well, the market's just going that way, I quote unquote guessed wrong, and okay, I'll just, take the trade off here, and I can always get back on if it starts to come back my way.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Because that's the whole thing. You put things in place so that if you know where your pain point is, or what your trigger is, for whatever the market's doing to go and cause you to become emotional. You need to go and figure those things out. Do a real good self-assessment so that you know what those things are. Set up a game plan, and when you set up that game plan, you just don't veer off of it. Just go and play the game. And that's what you got to do. You just got to go play the game. At least that's what I've learned over the years. And I think that that's, something that's very, very helpful for, especially for somebody who's new. I would, it's the type of thing where, when I first started trading, everybody was telling me, the most important thing about trading is psychology. And I would agree with that. But nobody really explained to me the emotion. And I don't know if somebody can explain emotion to you other than, getting involved and actually feeling that pain, as you like to call it, brain management, feeling that pain that's there and going and managing your brain so that you can go and, drive through that situation. When you're trading, there are going to be car wrecks, and okay, what do? You have to go and find a way to go and, say, okay, yeah, that's just part of trading. That's trading. That's what we signed up for when we decided to go and open an account and go into this game of trying to go and make money by playing the markets. And we just need to go and say, hey, okay, that's part of the game. What are we going to do when this happens? Okay, here's, we always talk about, what do we do while we're waiting, right? Well, I would say even before you're waiting to get into a trade, what do you do the day before, the week before, the month before? And that is that, if you've traded for any period of time, what some of the things are that are going to occur. Write them down. Okay, and then once you've written them down, figure out what your game plan is to go and how are you going to deal with these things, not if they happen, but when they happen. And I think that's a key difference. It's not an if statement; it's a when statement, and we just need to go and do that and just be realistic. And when we're realistic that way, I think that will make it much easier to do those things and not make those decisions, because it's not a decision at that point in time. It's an execution.
Right. And just gave me a thought. In trading, it's almost like it's a game where you get to make up some of the rules.
Yeah. You can't change the rules, but you can make them up. You're right.
Well, because when you think about it, there's the rules are how should I put this? There's only really a few rules. You got to have so much money to place, whatever size trade you want. You can place it in one direction, the other, or both, depending on the broker. Um, and you can lose up to a certain amount or more, depending on the broker. So it's kind of interesting when you think about it in that way.
Right. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. There is just a certain number of rules that are out there, handful that are actually out there that are just dictated by the market. Then at that point, what you can do is you can go and build a subset of rules that allows you to navigate through that and allow you to go and trade profitably. It'll just allow you to go and do that. And part of it is, again, getting to know and assessing who you are and keeping yourself out of trouble. I see people probably think that I'm a very negative person. I'm actually a pretty positive person. But at the same time, what I have learned in trading is that if you minimize the negative side of what happens in trading, the positive side is just going to happen. At least that's what I've figured out in trading over the years, is that minimize the losses and the profits will come. Sort of like, the field of dreams, the whole thing is build it and they'll come. Well, build your rule set so that you minimize the things that can go against you, or minimize what the damage that can be done by whatever can go against you. And over time, the other part will just go and fall in place, and you'll be able to make money.
If only it were that simple, right?
Yeah, I know. But I mean, we're talking top line stuff here. But you're right. If only it was that simple. I mean, it is a very, very difficult thing to do. But writing the rules is actually very easy. Okay, right? Sitting down and I'll do the easy things first. Sitting down, writing rules is actually pretty easy. Sitting down and implementing those rules is very, very difficult. And then the second part of being very difficult is doing a self-analysis, going and assessing who you are. And part of it is because, we all tend to think we're either better than we are or worse than we are or something other than what we are. And so we don't really have a clear understanding of who we are as people, individuals. It's sort of like, when I've been married for, several decades now. And it's funny because my wife knows what I'm going to do before I know what I'm going to do, because she's able to be more objective about me than I'm even able to be objective about myself. And I'm stating that because I think there's a portion here that could possibly help us as traders, and that is that go to a trusted friend. Go to someone who knows you very well, who's spent some time with you, and ask them the difficult questions. What am I good at? What am I bad at? What are my personality flaws? What are my personality strengths? And write them up, and then try to do a correlation between that and how that would affect your trading. Because I don't think we're not good judges of ourselves. At least I have found that. I've done many years of counseling, and I've very rarely have come across people who are very, very good judges of themselves. They may get some things right, but they usually don't get very much right.
Well, I'm thinking how that really equates to trading in the sense of execution wise. I mean, because really, most of the time in trading, we spend waiting to enter, waiting to exit.
Right. Well, for me, the biggest thing, I've said this before, is that, I said this in yesterday's video, and I don't know how many times I've said this, but I'm a squirrel, and I'm very, very impetuous and want to go and do things. And, for me, I don't like waiting around. So in the beginning, when I was first learning to trade, my biggest problem was that I was jumping into trades too early, jumping out of trades too early, making hasty decisions, and that was my biggest problem. And when I sat down with a good friend of mine, I've known him since childhood, since probably we were about 5 or 6 years old, and I was, he's not a trader in any way, but he's a smart guy, and I sat down and I said, hey, this is what's happening with my trading world. Some days I can make a lot of money, and some days I make a lot of money. I can lose a lot of money. And, and he said, well, you've said to me many times that, a lot of traders have been telling you that psychology plays into this a lot. Let's go and be honest about it, and let's go and say, hey, what are your strong points and your weak points? Never said bad points. I almost said bad points, but weak points. And I said, well, okay, be honest with me. Tell me what is my weakest point? And I said it directly to him, just like that. And he said, you are going to go and jump on anything that's shiny. And he didn't use those words because this is before Flash, but it was like, that's essentially what he said. You're going to jump on anything that's shiny. You're going to jump from place to place to place, and that is your greatest weakness, and it's your greatest strength. And so, well, how is it my greatest weakness? You're going to jump onto things that may not be developed yet. And then, and I said, well, how's my greatest strength? Well, that gives you the ability to not be fearful to go after something that you see. And I said, that's interesting.
Yeah, and you know what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is up once again, so we'll definitely continue this because I think this is there's more to it. So, fellow traders, maybe if you want to share, you could in the replies to the video, let us know what you think your biggest strength and biggest weaknesses are. Because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumple One, over and out.